Welcome to the Old Fashion Masonic Podcast, where we talk all things Freemasons while drinking an old fashioned. I'm Brian.
I'm Dave.
Guys, what if y'all came here to listen? We're going to talk about some atheists, some agnostics, and how they relate or shouldn't relate to Freemasonry. So, Masons, you know this, but for the non-Masons, one of the requirements to join in our jurisdiction, we need to always be cautious. In our jurisdiction, you've got to be a male. You have to be at least 18. At one time it was 21. You have to profess a belief in a supreme being, a God of sorts. Those are our requirements, right?
I would add to that, a good man.
A good man, obviously. The things we're talking about are quantifiable, but yes, relative there. So, to be able to profess your faith in the supreme being, here's the why, right? Because yes, we take oaths, yes, we take obligations, yes, we put our hand on a holy book, right? Sometimes hands on a holy book, right? But we feel as Masons, we're going to dumb this down a bit, right? But we feel, since you're going to take an oath and obligation, sometimes it's to us directly as fellow Masons. Sometimes it's to our families and whatnot, right? So we believe that if you don't believe in a supreme being and that you're the number one, whatever the world surrounds around me, how can you take that oath or obligation, right? Where am I missing? Is there anything to add there?
You're 100% on. I mean, so when we take that oath, I have to be careful.
We have to be careful.
Right.
Yeah.
Masonic secrets and
which there's not a lot of.
When you do take that oath, you are asked. We take the oath to a higher power.
Right. Well, even before you take your obligation, we're just like, hey, you're asked on a petition if you believe, but then you're also asked again at some point.
Right.
In the process.
And the whole point of requiring that we believe in a higher power has nothing to do with religion, right? It is about the oath that we take and whom we take the oath to.
Yeah. Well, hey, right? whom do we put our trust in, right?
Right. So that's the crux of the issue, because it doesn't come down to, you don't have to believe in a particular religion. We just ask that you believe in a higher power.
Right.
In fact, for most of my Masonic journey, the chaplain of our lodge was Jewish. He was not Christian.
Rest in peace, Gillard. Yeah. Great human.
Yeah.
Great human.
Good person. So, but yeah. So it had nothing to do with religion itself. It was about your faith in a higher power and your ability to put that oath into their hands.
Fair. And we've talked a lot about Catholics. That's one of the reasons when we had the priest on the episode, one of the reasons that he had said that the Catholic Church has a problem with us is because we allow all sorts of religions in. And we're not going to digress to that, but to me, I'd argue we're the most inclusive, with the exception of, if you don't believe in anybody, you could. There's other organizations for it, there's other groups, but we need it for. And again, we don't care what it is, but if you're going to say, hey, I solemnly swear to be a great Mason and promise to come to lodge on every second and fourth Wednesday, we need you to believe in something. I just gave up some of my obligations, so here we go. Masonic charges are coming. Send them my way, boys. So this is just how I like to do to him.
Right. Well, so you're right. With the priests, specifically in Catholicism, it was about not putting your faith in anything outside of God. Right, and in Masonry, again, it's not a religion. We just need you to put your oath on to something that really matters, something that you can't take back from, and so that's where this issue comes into power, I think.
Right. So we're going to talk about the differences between an atheist and an agnostic, because obviously atheists can join, but should an agnostic be able to join? So this is what we're going to kind of delve in quickly, so it's not as boring as you think. So we've got some notes here. So an atheist, by definition, atheists do not believe in the existence of any deity or deity, period. They say there's no evidence. I'm done. There's no existence of God. I reject the idea. An agnostic, they neither believe nor deny the existence. They're saying there might be something, but I've never seen it, touch it, feel it. I don't. But I'm not like anti this. To me, there's not a lot of difference. You're not really saying now, but there's levels, right, of the atheist and the agnostics. You know, they break those down into subcategories as well, right?
Right. And I would adjust the definition on atheism to one that to say they do not believe in the existence. It's actually an atheist believes that there is no deity. Believes that there is no. So it's not they don't believe there is. They believe that there is not. And I know it's a subtle difference, but it's there.
One would argue semantic.
It's semantic, sure.
Right.
There is with agnostics, and I'm going back 20 years, remembering my Webster's definition of agnostics, and that is that they believe that the supernatural is unknown and unknowable. So I have a certain respect for agnosticism in the sense that they're not saying, I believe that there is no God, right? Yeah. They're saying that, I don't know.
Well, sometimes it's fair.
Right? Which is a fair statement.
It's almost like trying to, do you believe the dollar bill is real? Do you believe it's back? Well, I don't know. I might be a currency agnostic.
Right. There are different types of agnostics.
Right.
There really are. Right. But yes, and so I do have a certain respect for that, because in some cases it takes a little bit of courage to say we can't know.
Are they better critical thinkers, maybe?
Perhaps.
We're not supporting it. We're just having a conversation.
Of course. And there's a certain level of respect there for the agnostics, because it's a difficult belief system, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
It's a non-belief system.
So doing a little bit of research, check out the link in the description here. Here's a new set of data from CBS News. So 28% of Americans currently classify themselves as nuns. Not N-U, but N-O-N-E-S, nuns. And the majority of these nuns say that they still believe in either God, though not necessarily God as described in the Bible. So they believe in So the nuns, to me, they can say, well, whom do you believe in a God? I believe in God. They would probably make it in, right? Because there's not that further step.
That's a theist, right? A theist is somebody that does believe that there is a God.
Yeah.
But not necessarily a specific religion.
Right. Yeah, and to me, what do they call it? Like non-denominational churches type thing.
Yeah.
So, and I think this number of nuns, I think that number's going to keep going up, because I think the support of the non-denominational churches will probably lend itself for that number to change.
I can't disagree.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's 28%. 17% whom identify as an atheist. So 17% out there identify themselves as an atheist. So almost 2 out of every 10, which is interesting. I don't know that I've heard anybody that I know of that say they're an atheist. I mean, I'm sure there's probably somebody, but I just don't really talk about that much. I mean, I mostly roll with Masons, so I know I don't. That's not there.
Right. I do know some, and I think some atheists.
We're not knocking atheists.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Because I mean, it's your belief.
Yeah.
It's your belief system.
Yeah.
That is what it is. I think some of those would probably fall under agnosticism if they knew the real definitions of it.
I think that's fair too.
Right.
Yeah. So, I think I'm going to go with you. So that leads us to 20% identify as agnostic. So I think I subscribe to that. I think some atheists say, yeah, there may be a God, but I just don't know. Well, you're really more agnostic. You're not saying I absolutely, there's nothing.
I believe that there is no God is
right.
Technically atheist.
I agree with you, and I'll bet you that number is at least half of atheists. They don't understand it by definition. They're probably more agnostic.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
63% of people identify as nothing in particular. So I'm not sure that I know the difference between the nuns and the nothing in particular. Whereas God is Jesus, Christ is Allah or Buddha, where it's very specific. So if you add these numbers up, math matters. So 63% say nothing in particular. 20% say agnostic. We're at 83. 17 identify as atheist. Now we're at 100. 28% said not. So 100. So we've accounted for 128% of Americans. That's CBS, you didn't do us right here.
Math right there.
So yeah, we our abacus is having problems. We're moving it, and we're just struggling.
I think the 63% of nothing in particular those are probably theists or probably non-denominational Christians or otherwise that you mentioned that do believe in God, but no religion in particular.
So we've kind of talked about this. So we might go this way. Let's kind of clip this, but go into something slightly different that he's not ready for. I think we agree. Obviously, atheists, you're out. I think we may agree that at least the basic definition of an agnostic, we don't believe that they can be Freemasons either.
Yeah, and I'll take it a step further, but go with your direction.
Keep going.
Well, agnostics, whether you're so there's a difference on theistic agnostics and atheistic agnostics. And that is another semantic difference. In the sense that theistic agnostics believe that there may be a God. They lean towards there may be a God, but they don't believe. They don't have the evidence and that sort of thing. And atheist is just vice versa. My stance is, and I don't know where you're coming with the rest of this, so I'll just...
It's not a trap.
I'll put mine
It's something
first.
totally different.
Agnostics cannot join. And I'll say that to the extent, I don't care if you're theistic, agnostic, or otherwise, somebody that is non-committal, that they believe in a higher power, that they put their trust in a higher power, that they put their oath in a higher power. If you're a non-committal on that, then no, you can't be a Mason because your obligation is everything. Your obligation is everything to begin that journey of Masonry. And so to be non-committal on the very basic of it, I'm going to say no.
I struggle with that too. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So slide that to the side. It's very current right now. We all know that this is not political at all. So we all know there's a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East right now. With the Palestinians and the Israelis. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to make this statement, which will tie into the thumbnail. If Freemasonry were more prevalent in Israel and in Palestine, right? The Palestinians.
Uh-huh.
We wouldn't be having this. And let me tell you why. Because as much as Catholics are like, oh, I don't like this all-inclusive, I would argue that in Israel and the Palestinians, they believe in this and they believe in this and they're not accepting. If they would open the doors to Masonry, which allows us to open doors to religions, I think there would be less conflict there. I mean, if you just think as Masons, because, we've got a lot of people in this world, oh my gosh, insert religion, right? This religion's this religion's that. But at the end of the day, like as Masons, I think we respect that at least you believe in something, right? And although we don't debate it in lodge, we talk a lot about this kind of stuff. And I hope that as Masons, at least I'm going to speak for us too, if we had an active Muslim brother in our lodge, okay? I would love to, outside of lodge, sit down and say, walk me through this, right? And not to get there, because listen, there are people that have bastardized the Holy Bible and taken it to this extreme crazy Christian side and the same people that have bastardized the Quran, right? It would really be interesting. I think if I'm going to go back. I believe if there were a predominance of Masons in Israel and in the Palestinian province, we wouldn't be having the stuff that's going on. I absolutely hate what's going on. Nobody benefits from war except for big companies. And I just hate that for 3,000 plus years, that part of the world has been fighting it. And I just firmly believe if, Masonry's taken off in all of these different countries, if it would take off there, I think there would be a lot less craziness going on. I would hope. Maybe it's just.
I can't disagree with that.
I want to believe in that, right? I want to believe that we're better humans.
Right. I mean, we talk about the differences between religions, and someday we need to have a show about the founding fathers and the freedom of religion and what that entailed, because that really drives into this conversation.
Right.
But yes, I agree. In the Middle East, if there were more Masons on either side,
at least the openness of Masons,
right? They understood the inclusiveness of because they're all of the book, as they put it. As they put it over there, they put it at the book, right? They're all of the book. They just believe in different aspects of it,
right?
I do agree. If Masonry were more prevalent there, that maybe they wouldn't have that animosity.
They'll still disagree. As Masons, we disagree.
Within Lodge, yes. So if you put 100 Masons in a room with a subject, they're going to disagree at the same rate as 100 non-Masons. I mean, seriously, right?
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
But when it comes to...
But the tolerance changes.
Thank you.
The tolerance changes.
That is a different animal when it comes to Masons, because we have that exposure in Lodge. We have that exposure with brothers. And there's a brotherhood. There's initiation that you go through to be raised, and that creates a brotherhood. And very often that brotherhood overlooks some of those differences. And I think they can go a long way with what you're talking about.
You'll see on a future episode, we'll have a Grand Master of DMLA, Steve Crane, on, and he really talks about brotherhood, and he articulates it in a way that it was kind of awe-inspiring to me, the way he put it. But yeah, to your point, I could argue with somebody, debate, argue, whatever, on the street about X. But that same argument in the Lodge, I will give a little more leniency because it's a brother. So I think it goes back to the original... because of the respect that we should have for our fellow brothers and the tolerance. I don't know who it is, but it's not going to be me. I'm not going to go to the Palestinian world or the Israeli world and try to start up a Grand Lodge there, but I'd get the crap kicked out of me or worse.
I'll leave that to somebody else.
Yeah, right. So, but I do believe if we could somehow invoke that tolerance and acceptance, just the principles of Freemasonry, I think that I don't think it would be on this scale. There'll always be bickering and whatnot. Yeah. We have it in the United States, for heaven's sakes, but I don't think it would be on that scale.
I agree.
You agree?
I agree.
So
and if I had